This was Call of Duty 15 years ago. And this is Call of Duty now.
Time is Omo and Nikki drops in.
Not only has Call of Duty become a soulless cash grab full of wacky and nonsensical cosmetics, but it also lost the identity that made it so iconic to begin with. And this phenomenon is not exclusive to the Call of Duty franchise. From Overwatch to Apex Legends to even GTA Online, games that once had unique identities have deviated from their origins in exchange for broader market appeal. So how did we go from being blessed with unforgettable unique experiences to a landscape full of generic games with cookie-cutter cosmetics that blend into each other? The answer lies in a little game called Fortnite, which redefined the way gaming companies operate. Fortnite popularized the free-to-play model, where the game is free but cosmetics are sold later. Even 10 years ago, this was unheard of in AAA games. Now, almost all of them are free-to-play, because sadly, this model works. But more importantly, it also played a key role in popularizing battle passes. It seems like ever since Fortnite did battle passes, every AAA gaming company has tried to implement their own idea of a battle pass into their games, making it a feature that's nearly impossible to escape in today's online gaming landscape. There's nothing inherently wrong about battle passes, but not every game needs to have one. Some games work better without them, yet developers continue to implement battle passes where they don't belong. Take Overwatch, for example, which had a perfectly acceptable system where you can get loot boxes for free by just playing the game. But apparently that wasn't good enough for Blizzard, who for some reason decided to instead opt for a battle pass full of items that you can only get by paying money. This is just one example of a game that decided to adopt battle passes for no reason. Now tell me, why the hell does Red Dead Online need to have a battle pass as well? It's not like they need the money, because they abandoned Red Dead Online faster than Kratos abandoned his daughter. So I think they did it only because of the success Fortnite had doing it. Clearly, battle passes are working well for Fortnite, but why does every game have to shamelessly copy it? I think we all know the answer to that question. All battle passes do is create identical progression systems in every game, making the overall experience of progression feel interchangeable throughout the industry. There's usually nothing to progress towards other than cool skins, which lose their appeal quickly by the time you reach the millionth one. Battle passes merge most online games into a single homogeneous blob, devoid of identity or character, and no game exemplifies this loss of identity more than Call of Duty. The Call of Duty franchise has tried more monetization models in their games than Leonardo DiCaprio has tried women under 25. They went from having map packs that do nothing but fragment the player base, to guns that, while insanely overpowered, you can at least directly buy for a guarantee of getting the gun, to loot boxes where you don't even guarantee getting a good item, to battle passes, which are at the very least less predatory than loot boxes because, at least with battle passes, you know what you're paying for. But this constant switching of monetization models for Call of Duty is primarily because Call of Duty doesn't know what it wants to be, and it has a history of copying what is popular at the time. There was a solid 5-year period where all we saw from the COD franchise was banger after banger after banger. But simultaneously, another game franchise that was experiencing a similar type of success in a parallel path was threatening to dethrone Call of Duty as the most mainstream first-person shooter franchise. That franchise was Battlefield, which on paper was a better version of Call of Duty in almost every way, from its slower-paced, more immersive gameplay to its dynamic environments, to its different vehicles that can make for all types of gameplay scenarios as opposed to Call of Duty's relatively stale second-to-second combat. Battlefield's variety was undoubtedly attractive to the Activision developers who thought surely copying a proven formula would result in nothing but success, right? Actually no, because what we got was Call of Duty Ghosts, which is widely considered the worst COD installment to date. In trying to copy what Battlefield did, Ghosts ended up giving us some of the most boring, slow-paced, most uneventful maps in the franchise's history. The destructive maps did nothing to enhance the gameplay and felt like a gimmick. Needless to say, some change was needed. So, what did they do? They went in the complete opposite direction and released 3 futuristic Call of Duty games, back to back to back. Black Ops 3 blatantly stole the idea of specialists from Destiny. It also stole a lot of its movements like slides and wall riding from Titanfall, as well as whatever this is. A year later in 2016, with the release of Infinite Warfare, it was clear that the players weren't liking the direction the franchise was heading. Battlefield 1, set in World War I, which also released that year, did the exact opposite of Call of Duty and was the far more popular game that year. So, how do you think Activision responded? This was then followed by the success of Fortnite, to which Call of Duty responded with their own failed attempt at a battle royale, followed by the release of Warzone in 2020, ushering a new era of Call of Duty, one that is very different from the Call of Duty of before. Gone are the days where the franchise had a gritty and brutal atmosphere that matched the game's themes. It is now aesthetically so far removed from its original concept that it's almost akin to Fall Guys, which infuriates me because this is a direct result of trying to copy Fortnite. But in doing that, they forgot that unlike Fortnite, Call of Duty is not a game that matches the childish look that Fortnite has. I would actually argue Fortnite is better than Call of Duty in terms of graphical integrity, because at least Fortnite started with a vision and stuck with it, which cannot be said about COD. And this isn't just a graphical integrity problem. This is about respect, because Call of Duty initially marketed itself to be in no way funny or lighthearted. Even the early Black Ops games, which are technically science fiction games, were serious in tone. Now we have Black Ops 6 with anthropomorphic animal skins that would stand out even in Fortnite, let alone Call of Duty. And in case you didn't already know, Black Ops 6 is based on the fucking Gulf War. It's based on a real event where countless people lost their souls. If this is not the most blatantly disrespectful, tone-deaf trivialization of real human suffering for the sake of corporate profit, then I don't know what is. And now, with Black Ops 7, they're officially out of ideas, dragging back Menendez for cheap nostalgia bait instead of doing anything new. Unlike the Modern Warfare series, which was a reboot, this just trashes BO2's story and legacy, recycling characters and retroactively ruining old games, all while tossing in nonsensical skins to destroy the new ones too. Besides, it's impossible to be immersed into a game about war when you just got killed by a unicorn fart and you're surrounded by Squid Game characters and Homelander. When Call of Duty has no other game to copy, it reverts to what it is at its core, which is a fairly unremarkable arcade shooter with essentially nothing special to offer in terms of gameplay. All this to say, when you combine a franchise with no integrity and outrageous business practices that don't know when to stop, you get Call of Duty, which, in terms of gameplay, has been on a downward spiral ever since Modern Warfare 2019. Every installment now feels like a reskin of that game, with very little to do with changes in gameplay or aesthetics, having the same skill-based matchmaking, goofy skins that stick out like sore thumbs in a game about war, and horribly ugly user interface that looks ripped straight out of a mobile game, littered with advertisements that constantly get in the way, useless features that only clutter the screen, and a menu system that has a learning curve almost as difficult as the game itself. Which pisses me off because old Call of Duty games had some of the cleanest UI back then. For example, this is the UI of the new Modern Warfare 2, and this is the concept UI that a Redditor made for it, inspired by the original MW2 that came out 13 years prior.
I don't know why we overcomplicated the UI so much. It's progressively gotten worse as far as complication goes, so please, can we dumb it down a bit for me? I am dumb. That just took me 20 minutes to find theater. This is like, I need a fucking PhD to be able to navigate this UI. What happened to the simple like MW2 UI? Just bam, 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 everything's right there.
Why would games get rid of their simple designs in exchange for this?
You know one thing I've noticed about this UI? It loves sending you to the store. I didn't look at this and say, where's the store? Oh, wait.
This UI forces the players to get bombarded with a million ways they can waste their money. But clearly, the benefit of getting like one player out of 100 to buy an item because of the ugly bundle you shoved in their face should not come at the expense of, oh, I don't know, being able to easily search for a game?
What the? Where's multiplayer? Oh my god, this is the most confusing menu I've ever seen in my life. What's Resurgence? I don't want to play Battle Royale either. I don't want to play Ranked. Damn, they got everything but multiplayer here. Oh my god, dude, everything about this game sucks. What is all this garbage? Dude, this is so confusing. I'm literally trapped on the main menu, guys. What is this? Lockdown quads? What is this crap? Where's Call of Duty? Oh, multiplayer, I found it, guys. It's right here. Holy crap, I had to go through all that just to find multiplayer?
This problem of overcomplicating games for no reason is not seen only in the UI. It's clear that games are also introducing too many elements to the gameplay, which clutters that as well. And this makes it more exhausting to do or understand anything, especially as a newer player. In fact, us players yearn so much for a crumb of simplicity and identity in our favorite games that it's become a trend for games like Fortnite, Apex Legends, and PUBG to introduce an OG mode, bringing back the original simplicity of these games that we feel nostalgic about. And man, were they successful, with Fortnite having its biggest day ever, 6 years after release, proving that there really is no reason to gussy up your game with a million features that ultimately make it less attractive to newer players who get an epileptic seizure every time a sweat cranks 90s on top of their heads. The perfect example of a game that, in my opinion, embodies what modern gaming should be is Counter-Strike. Aside from its microtransactions basically being a form of gambling, its aesthetic remained true to its roots, despite its many updates across the span of over 20 years, unlike other games which progressively got brighter and more saturated until they became a Mr. Beast thumbnail. Also, it kept the same basic concept that it had since day one, and it never complicated things beyond what they used to be. So I think most games can learn a thing or two from how Counter-Strike never lost its identity, but not every game took that path. Take GTA, for example. Not only has GTA Online went from a grounded online iteration of a GTA game to a chaotic sci-fi mess that's closer to Saints Row than Grand Theft Auto, but it also proved that when it comes to anti-consumer business practices, no one does it better than Rockstar Games. GTA Online makes it so that everything is deliberately made to be as frustrating as possible, to incentivize players to buy shark cards, with basically all of the decent vehicles being locked behind elaborate and infuriating paywalls. For example, if you want to customize your Oppressor Mark II, you need a nightclub, terabyte, and a specialized workshop, which along with the Oppressor itself, costs a bare minimum of about $9 million. And don't even get me started on GTA Plus. This has to be a new low for gaming as a whole. As much as I hate battle passes because everyone is doing them, literally anything is better than whatever this is. At least battle passes incentivize you to play the game. All this does is lock basic quality of life features behind a paywall, forcing you to pay money every month to get something that should be free for everyone. I feel like at a certain point, Rockstar just decided to start trying the most out-of-pocket shit to see what they can get away with going forward in GTA 6. And for some reason, some dumbasses still pay actually $8 a month for this. And this is the crux of the problem. Because yes, it is frustrating to see how far online gaming has drifted away from what it used to be. Because at the end of the day, video games are an art form and should be treated as such. But what I cannot stress enough is that we are not powerless when it comes to this. Naive as this statement may be, it's up to us, the players, to change how things are going. Oh, you don't like the scummy practices of insert gaming company? Then stop supporting them. Stop buying their games. Stop buying their microtransactions. Stop giving them money. Because money is the only language they understand. If we keep pouring money into the developers that implement these anti-consumer practices, we're only fueling the trends that are diluting the games we love.